Okay, this is for Meza Stoned, right? The question is how do we improve a slow team? And I believe the solution is you want to increase the tempo and the speed of play and decision making at practice. So this is a routine taken from Doug Nevins, who's a former Gatorade Coach of the Year, former professional player, and this is what he would do with us every practice. And I think this will help raise not only the speed of play and the tempo, but I think it's going to raise the competition, the intra-team competition. And if you can raise the competition and the intensity of your own practice, then I think you're gonna have more success. So this is the overview. The overview, if you can see that, is warm up, possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, and then playing to big goals. But there's some nuances, right? So let's go through it. So possession, or right, warm up. You have your typical warm up, right? You really want to invest in that warm up to prevent against non-contact injuries, things like that, and just to instill good habits. Possession. I have some made up lines, right? These could be cone lines. If you really have a lot of numbers, you could go, right? You kind of want to make possession tight, not so tight like they're feeling like sardines, but tight enough where it's going to increase the demand. It's going to force them to make faster decisions. So, Doug would use this natural line of the 18 and extend the cone line, right? So he'd extend the cones down towards the half. So we have this narrow, tight area to play possession in. And if we had significantly more numbers, then he would extend the cone line, right? That mirrors the center of the goal, or you could say it mirrors the penalty spot, right? So half of a half, right? Half of a field. So right, this is kind of this is ideal because you either want it, tight here based on numbers or tight here based on numbers. So that's kind of, it's hard for me to say because I don't know how many numbers you have, but tighter the better, as long as it's not too tight, if that makes sense. And so we would play 3 different types of possession games, right? The first possession game was traditional 2-team possession, maybe 4 or 5 passes, scores a point. You could also play 3-team possession if you've got enough pennies. 3-team possession, monkey in the middle style, right? So let's say you've got perfect numbers, you got 18 players, or maybe you have 15 players, whatever. If numbers work out right and you've got enough pennies, that could work out. You could also do, if you have some cones. This is another one of my favorite games. Doug would lay the thin cones. He would put gates in the possession area, and what teams to do to score a point, teams would have to pass through the gate to their own team. And players are smart, right? So what they'd start to do is they would try to go back and forth through the gate to score a lot of points, but then pressure from a defender would try to run over to that to stop that passing through the gates. So why this game was super effective is because players had to recognize the pressure coming from someone to try and attack from a defender who's going to stop that passing in between gates. So the challenge for the attackers was they would recognize the pressure and then move the ball fast to where other gates were on the field. And this is kind of what this started to happen in games was we would be able to switch the point of attack while attacking from defenders, and it became a very effective possession game, right? So Doug would kind of rotate between those 3 possession games depending on numbers and resources available, like cones or pennies, things like that. So those are, right, possession. You gotta, if you're not playing possession in practice, gotta play possession. The next thing we would do, so possession, then finishing on goal, right? Finishing on goal. The first part, finishing on goal, is 2 parts, right? Starting up here. First part is Slotsville, he would call it. Slotsville is, right, all the players would line up here, and all the players have a ball, and they would, you know, fast, as fast as they could run, and then just finish on the inside of the netting. So there'd be maybe 5 minutes of that, 5 to 10, not even, call it 5, 7 minutes of that. And then you do, it went from Slotsville, right? Slotting, low, hard, driven ball on the ground. Then it would be Volleysville. So Doug would be standing right here facing the goal. He would have players face him and be standing in front of him with the ball in their hands. They would throw him the ball, so he'd get the ball, or you just hand him the ball because this line is coming from here. He'd throw the ball over your head, and you would spin around, and then with one touch, finishing on goal on a volley. And this is ideal for turf, which is what we practice on usually, and it might be harder on grass. So, right, there are some nuances that might not apply to your field if you're not playing on grass, or if you've got super tall grass. This might be too difficult. So you might just have to continue with finishing on goal, just slotting the ball low, hard on the ground. Okay, so after that, we go right into possession. And so keep in mind, right, so I'm kind of understanding that everyone's just slow, right? You have a lot of slow players. So through this whole thing, no one's taking breaks. You could tell them, I would not stop for breaks at all, but if they want to, you got to make it known that if they need some water, whatever, they can go take a break, whatever they want, right? So crossing and finishing is the next part. So we have two crossing lines. All the balls are on the sides, right? And then we have two attacking lines. All the lines rotate. And so you alternate between the right side and the left side, left side. And so this winger, they push the ball forward a little bit, and then they cross the ball, and these two attacking lines, they're crisscrossing. So this line goes here, and this line goes here, and then whoever can get a touch on goal, finish right on goal. So the problem that I used to have here whenever I was on a crossing line is that I would try to make it too difficult for myself. I would push the ball straight and try to do a hard cross across instead of pushing the ball at a slight diagonal and then making it easier for myself, right? So Doug said, Andrew, just push the ball a little bit to the left so that it's easier for you to cross it. So if anyone runs into the problem, that's the solution, right? So unless you have a backstop behind the goal, you might need to reset this crossing and finishing drill a few times just to collect the balls from the back of the goal, or so that some people can get some time to chase the balls that maybe they missed. So, right, one more time. These two lines are rotating, and then these two lines are crisscrossing. Simple, crossing and finishing. And I think the most important part, right, that you go into is playing to big goals, right? So if you have a goal that can move, you want to bring this goal, assuming that you have a spare goal, that you bring it in close. And the reason you want 3 different teams playing to big goals is because, right, it's king of the hill style. And the reason you want to do this is because it raises the intensity of playing. Because if you only have 2 teams playing against each other, if one of the teams scores on each other, there's nothing gained, there's nothing lost. But if you've got 3 teams playing king of the hill style, if one team gets scored on, now they have to play as bumper players on the outside with one touch. And this keeps the players who are sitting out engaged because they want to get back on the field, right? You got to assume. And if they only have one touch, that means that means they're tuned in. They want to get back on the field. They're going to help whoever plays them the ball, right? They're neutral players, bumper players with one touch. So, right, I think this is the most important part, right? Split the team up into 3, have the goals very close, because this is going to force them to make rapid-fire decisions, right? Since the goal's so close, if a defender misses their mark or someone makes a great move, right, they can just finish it on goal. Since the goals are so close, there's going to be quick turnover, right? You shift rapidly from attacking to defending to attacking, right? So this is, everyone will just have so much fun playing this, 2 teams, 3 teams playing to big goals. So if everything works out right, this should really raise the level and intensity and the speed of play. I mean, all these things are the most essential things you need to do. Keep possession, finish on goal, cross and finish, and then, to attack and defend effectively and transition rapidly. So hopefully this helps. Reach out with any questions. All right, thank you.